different kind of life. A silent border, the wind is calling, you must return to the wild.
Welcome back to the last video of our 5 counties trip. We left you in the last video having breakfast at Spurn Point. We've now packed up Harry and we're heading south to Norfolk. It's a 4-hour journey ahead of us, which is actually the longest stint we've done in one go on this trip. But the weather's fantastic and you tend to see so much more being sat up higher in the van, so we really enjoy it. As we approach the Humber Bridge, we're really pleased to see that today it's not very busy. This bridge looks so modern that it's hard to believe that approval for it was first granted 61 years ago. Although it wasn't until 8 years later in 1972 that work finally began. It took 8 years to build and opened in 1981. Upon completion, it became the world's longest single-span bridge, and it held that record for an impressive 17 years. Today it still holds the world record for being the longest suspension bridge you can walk or cycle over. One of the things we love about being away in Harry is just driving and having a chat and having a laugh. And in this case it was about having a laugh about the previous night at Spurn Point, because that was quite a memory. We settle into and enjoy our journey, but we're really excited to get where we're going, as we're going to meet my son Matt and his wife Emily. After spending a great few hours with Matt and Emily, we arrive at Whitehall Farm at Burnham Thorpe, which apparently is the birthplace of Lord Nelson. That's the village, not the campsite. Now Stu's so excited by this fact that he actually gets me to text his brother. We are camped on a large field, as you can see, so there's loads of room for motorhomes and tents. Stu sets up Harry and connects the electric. I'm now starting to realise the power of being the narrator of this, so I can apologise for Stu's legs, because as you can see they've not seen the sun for many months and actually look like 2 pieces of cotton hanging off his shorts. Whitehall Farm is a caravan and motorhome club site, and there's a separate area for 5 pitches. But we picked the field because we are campervan obsessed and we love seeing all the vans. The farm has stables, and apparently you can even bring your own horse. Unfortunately ours wouldn't fit in Harry because he's only a short wheelbase. The showers and the toilets and the waste disposals are all really good on this site. We're so excited to spend the next day with Matt and Emily because we haven't seen them in so long, and we start off with a walk in the woods next to Holcomb Hall.
Morning, so we're down at Holcomb Estate with Matt and Emily, so they can wave. I do have friends. Jane is here, she's in front. I know she very rarely gets on camera. So we're just going for a walk around the Holcomb Estate, around the woodland area. Sun's out, so we'll show you some of the pictures along the way.
We haven't seen Matt and Emily since Christmas due to COVID, and that's been 9 really long months for us as they live in Amsterdam. So they've had to come over and isolate for 2 weeks before we could see them. We have loads to catch up on, as family's the most important part of our lives. The woods run alongside this beautiful beach, and apparently there's some fantastic coastal walks to be had as well. But for us, we'll have to save that for another day. The dappled shade of the trees casts interesting shadows as we walk. And as you can see, Shadow Man has put his trousers on today and left his shorts back in Harry, thank God. This is an interesting tree, and we must have spent about 5 minutes discussing if it was actually dead or alive. We then come across this rope swing, so the inner child took over in all of us, especially as there's no one about. We had some great fun with it. And it goes without saying that the biggest kid of all was Stu. After the walk, we just spend the rest of the day chilling out with Matt and Emily. We cooked a pilaf in Harry and we finished the day with pizza and a game of Mario Kart, and it was a great end to a great day. Although I'm feeling really sad right now because we won't be seeing them again till Christmas. The following day we head off for a drive and we don't really know where we're going, and we end up at Burnham Staithe, which apparently is where Lord Nelson learnt to sail. We literally found this place as we were driving along and zooming in on Google Earth, and as you can see it was the most perfect spot to spend a couple of hours and having a cup of tea. As the tide was out, we were able to park in the harbour, and amazingly Stu parked first time. Historically, Burnham Staithe was a port, but over time the river silted up and commercial vessels were unable to reach it, and today it's a recreational sailing area and also a great spot to take photographs. You can park here and walk to a fantastic beach that's about a mile away, but we'll have to save that for another day. We then move on to our final campsite called the Norfolk Brickyard. Unfortunately, the GoPro audio lets us down, so what Stu is trying to say is, we actually came to this site the same time last year and we really enjoyed it so much we wanted to come back again, and whilst it's not the cheapest of sites, the experience is quite unique. The current owners have created some really secluded pictures around the camp so you feel like you're tucked away, and it's a bit like wild camping but without the fear that there's going to be a knock on your door at 3 o'clock and a policeman telling you to move on. The Brickyard was established pre-1734 purely to make the bricks to build Holcomb Hall, which is next door. The kilns were used until 1951 when the last of the bricks went out, and if you go on the Norfolk Brickyard website there's some fantastic pictures of the history of the site. Legend has it that the architect of Holcomb Hall, William Kent, brought brickmakers over from Italy saying that there hadn't been any decent bricks built since the Romans left. The facilities are all outdoors with outdoor showers and washing facilities, and even dotted around the site are long drop toilets, which are basically a hole in the ground and a toilet seat. And just a tip from me that if you go in the middle of the night, don't accidentally shine your torch down one of those toilets. There are shared facilities for washing up, and there's also a pizza oven that the owner lets you use. They have this fantastic barn that you can chill out in, and all in all this site is a really unique camping experience from the norm. And just for reference, this campsite is open from March through to September. With lots of little tracks, it's great to walk around this site. Blackberries are abundant and even the wildlife are friendly. We bought this Caddock Safari barbecue when we first got Harry, and we haven't really used it much, but on this trip it's really come into its own and we've had some great meals off it.
Hi, so we're off to Holcomb Hall just for the for a few hours. There's a food festival in the grounds, and we can walk from the Norfolk Brickyard, come up through the, I think it's the eastern side, is that right? Yeah, it's the eastern side, no, the western side of Holcomb Hall estate. There's a gate, and then we can make our way through the grounds. Quite a bit of a long walk along the driveway to it, and it's easy walking. It's a nice day, there's a bit of a warm breeze, so we'll spend a few hours there, see what's there, and then chill out in the sun on the estate, and then head back.
Holcomb Hall was built in 1734 by the first Earl of Leicester, and he inherited the estate when he was 10 years old. It took 30 years to build, and unfortunately he died 5 years before it was completed. But his wife not only managed to finish the building herself, she actually ruled Holcomb Estate for the next 17 years. Holcomb Hall today is managed by the 8th Earl of Leicester. We settle down for our last evening and reminisce about the memories of this trip.
Silent falling, the wind is calling, you must return to